This episode is brought to you by Sheath. You can go to sheathunderwear.com and discover the most comfortable underwear ever created. Now, what makes Sheath underwear different? Well, for men, on the inside of the underwear, there is a dual pouch. That means separate compartments for your manhood. Imagine a silky, smooth pouch on the inside that your boys slide right into that keeps you separate from your legs, so there's no more sticking, no more chafing, no more need for readjustment. We all know that little move you have to make to kind of peel the bad boys off of the leg. Well, with Sheath, that is a thing of the past. There are several fabrics to choose from modal to bamboo. My personal favorite is the bamboo. It's a newly launched product that everyone seems to really love. I highly recommend trying the bamboo Sheath underwear if you have not ever given yourself the gift of true comfort. Wearing these underwear truly sets a new precedent for what underwear are, and for most people, I think they end up switching entirely over to Sheath, because when you put on your old underwear after trying these, they just don't cut it anymore. You can try Sheath risk-free. There is a 100% money-back guarantee on your first pair. So go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code TIMEWHEEL to save 20%. I've been involved with Sheath since its conception. It was founded by my brother, Robert Patton, who is a U.S. military vet, who during the course of his 2 tours to Iraq developed this product out of need. Need is the mother of invention, as he likes to say, and he did a great job bringing this awesome product to the world. Again, that's sheathunderwear.com, promo code TIMEWHEEL. This episode is also brought to you by Ohana Kava Bar. Go to ohanakavabar.com and check out their selection. Ohana means family, and it is spelled O-H-A-N-A, and Kava is spelled K-A-V-A. You can order directly from their website, and they will mail you high-quality kava. If you don't already know, kava is a plant medicine, an herbal supplement, a replacement for alcohol. It is an incredible experience. I have used kava for years now. I love it. It makes you chill, happy, vibey. It is a communal and ceremonial beverage to unwind with at the end of your day. If you haven't given kava a try, I highly recommend it. Again, go to ohanakavabar.com and use promo code TIMEWHEEL to save 10%. Their store offers classic kava, instant kava, kava tinctures, kava capsules, and more, all of which I have tried and all work incredibly well. ohanakavabar.com, promo code TIMEWHEEL.
Greetings, and Accessing archive. Authorizing. Access granted. Accessing file.
We are rolling. Chris Isner, how you doing, man?
I'm very well, my friend. How's it going?
I am doing great. Glad to have you. You do amazing woodwork.
Thank you very much. If I didn't have that, I would be such a complete loser. It'd be ridiculous.
So just to jump off here, I heard an interesting story about ayahuasca showing you how to do the work that you do with wood. Is that correct?
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Yeah. There are these snakes, right? Ayahuasca snakes. Everybody talks about them. Well, I remember when I was down there, somebody had told me, if you see snakes, you can tell them what to do. They'll do your bidding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Now I have a whole little gang of ayahuasca snakes that come whenever I call them, and you can tell them to do whatever you want. They'll do it. Take you places, show you things.
That's beautiful. Like, tell me your story about ayahuasca and this particular journey that they showed you the woodwork.
It was my first ceremony, and I'd fallen in with some just truly amazing Shipibo curanderos down there. Mm-hmm. And they were doing some private ceremonies. They were starting a coca dieta, and they were doing ceremonies for that. And I was invited, so I had 4 curanderos working on just me, mm-hmm. and they just absolutely blew my mind. I didn't expect much at first because, they're just such sweet, nice people. They're so painfully sweet and humble, but then when the medicines started kicking in and they started singing,
yeah,
oh my God, I knew I was in for a wild ride, because it's just what they do. Singing is not even the right word for what they do, but it was simply the most awesome, feat of human ability that I've ever experienced.
Right. I hear that the method they use, it's called Ikaro, and they sing Ikaros, and these are musical technologies that the plants taught these shamans as to how to bring this voyage to different places for the participants. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Even their language, which is based on it, you can have, most of their words will have at least 3 different meanings depending on what realm you're talking about, whether physical or spiritual or astral, because they're operating on all these levels all the time.
Right.
And so it's apparent in the structure of their language.
Yeah.
Thought. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I was there and having my first ceremony, and at one point, the lead curandero singing over me, and I'm just staring goggle-eyed at him, and his song's just coming in and just blasting me apart, blasting my mind apart,
mm-hmm.
and just grinding all that gringo shit down flat. It was just overwhelming, and in the pitch dark, he wasn't a man at all. He was this just huge undulating serpentine form covered in thousands of kaleidoscopic eyes.
Wow.
And so very much like an anaconda. And I remembered that thing. Oh yeah, you can, so I said, okay, show me what to do with my life. I've got vomit drool hanging off my lip, out of my mind. And then after that, that's when I saw this vision. It was very detailed, like a YouTube video,
mm-hmm.
from some other place. And there's these hands making a wooden bowl with this ancient woodworking technique.
Oh, wow.
Looking at the textures of wood. And I was like, okay. And even then, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm going to suffer, because, we end up suffering, fear, doubt, insecurity, deprivation, all of these things when we do what we love.
Yeah.
Because it's become apparent to me that we can't work for a living, or at least I can't. I can only like work for a working, and I have to live for a living. And,
I know what you mean.
doing what I love isn't work at all. It's life. It's just joy. And
Right.
yeah, so better to, and for a long time, it was a hungry struggle,
Mm-hmm.
Like he's making little wooden bowls, hundreds of bowls, just like I saw, and I was trying to scratch a living at flea markets and living in some Ted Kaczynski shack in some old man's backyard. And but then mushrooms helped me with that, of just being able to, microdosing mushrooms to just allowed me to put my head down and work without tripping on everything else that would have just sent me into so much anxiety and depression that I would have been, non-functional.
Sure.
But I found that what psychedelic plants do is that they will anchor the mind in the present moment, where the mind is optimally suited to work on tasks that we set for it, rather than being stuck, kind of the untended mind, operating within constructs, past and future constructs that'll create for itself, which are states of non-reality.
Yeah.
And if the mind operates too long in states of non-reality, dysfunction ensues. So we assume that our brain chemistry dictates thinking and emotion and behavior, but I think it's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we're allowing our mind to drift in these non-reality states, these constructs that it creates for itself, all the time. When it's got plenty of time to do that on its, to play and do whatever it wants, the mind does, for 1/3 of our lives when we're sleeping.
Yep.
It can do whatever it wants, so that's plenty of time. So now I try to kind of keep focused, and there's some things that help with that.
Yeah.
Like Hapé does that. Hapé gives you clarity and focus, anchors you in the present moment.
Absolutely. It does. Yeah. I want to talk about microdosing and Hapé, but on this idea of the woodworking, had you ever practiced woodwork before, or was it, no, you hadn't. So you were like told in this journey, as a revelation, that this is a new art form that you need to take up.
Not in so many words, but I mean, I asked, it answered. So, I kind of did that, and I kind of have a bit of an obsessive streak anyway. So, it just, I latched onto it. And, and I could have just so easily missed that, just with the enormity of the experience, so much going on, and the nausea. And, I could have just, not paid attention and missed it. And I wonder what other things did I experience that I just didn't quite catch into. But I caught on to that one. And, and then, and I know it's an amazing process, and it's just magically transforms my, very rough amateurish carving very quickly, just transforms it, this finishing process right before my eyes. And I was like, oh my God, look what I'm doing. This is amazing, and then I'm ready to do the next one. So you really have so much detail in what you do when you carve this wood. It's really impressive. And it really seems like a timeless art form. I almost feel like it might be one of the earliest forms of art would be people creating sculpture out of wood. Once the tools of the knife and whatnot were created, I feel like it was probably, maybe the materials to do this were more common than, paint and this type of thing. You could create, animals out of wood. You could create, people out of wood. You could create a lot of things. And I just feel like it's probably like, I don't know, tens of thousands of years old as an art form. Or older.
Right.
And this technique that was, I think, is the first woodworking technique that was ever used, just before tools, maybe it was just some sharp stones, that you could still fashion something with this.
Right.
It's funny. I recently was looking through Instagram, and all of a sudden I see, and I was like, wait a second, someone's making my work using that technique. Because I don't tell anybody really. I mean, just students. When I teach kids, and I go to I bring tools to Peru a lot, into Haiti. And so I do these workshops, and then I saw this guy, and he was like, and a couple of them was like, wait, I made that piece, and he's copied it. And, so I messaged the guy, and I was like, well, I guess I should be, honored, and he said, oh, you grumpy old bastard, you were the guy from Reddit, like you influenced me a long time ago. And then what happened was he was on this show, this TV show called Naked and Afraid, where they drop people like naked out in the middle of the desert. Like they're in South Africa for a month at a time. And which I understand as personally as a very spiritual experience, because when you put yourself through such a, difficult ordeal, like say a dieta in the jungle, where it's just very difficult, and you have to deal with yourself, and that's a deeply rewarding experience. And he told me that he was like making this wooden bowl, using this technique, and so he could eat, and
Sure.
So he had the same experience as me, and came to that technique the same way, but only directly. I saw the vision.
Right.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah, very interesting. Was there a early piece that really seemed to hit the audience well? Because you say bowls are very beautiful. They've got utility. You can use them for food or to store things, these types of things. But what was your first piece that seemed to really hit the audience with like a shockwave? Because it seems like everything you do now is stunning, to the point that it is like a masterpiece. It's like you're almost like a master woodworker, I would say.
So I started making bowls like I'd seen in the visions, trying to sell them at flea markets, and people asked me to make pipes.
Okay.
And so I started making pipes with these little faces of the visions I'd seen, and little swarms of entities, and then at one point I had this eureka moment, and I had the idea of putting one of those faces into the bottom of one of those bowls, and that started this new direction of work for me, and that had a profound effect on me. And it was just that's basically the format for everything I've done since. If you go to my Instagram and start scrolling and scroll and scroll and scroll, it just keeps going, and you're looking at literally tons of work, a lifetime's worth, but made in about the last 5 years, because it's just this processes I'm using allow me to work very fast. So by working 10 times faster, I was able to get kind of good at it 10 times faster. You know what I mean? The only way to get good at something is to do it a lot. And
that's beautiful. So it seems to be the faces, right? Like these faces that are almost tribal-esque, very ancient feeling.
And I don't know where they came from. Somebody had mentioned that they may be my ancestors.
Yep. That's beautiful. So what is your process? Like you wake up in the morning, what do you do to get going and then begin, your art?
Coffee and tobacco, and walk to my studio and start working.
Beautiful. So the sometimes tobacco.
I use Hapé.
Yes, Hapé. Tell me how you got introduced to Hapé.
While I was in Peru, one time, when I go, I bring little items, pipes and creepes, things like that, and I'll trade for whatever I need, and go to the medicine market and get my things before heading into the jungle. And I started using Hapé, and honestly, I became this Hapé fiend. I was just, like all day, every day, until I got a kilo from someone.
Oh, wow.
Of this amazing 8-plant Hapé with all these power plants, these master plants in it.
Yeah.
And I started using that. I don't know why, but just the desire just evaporated. And now I don't even like want to anymore. But pretty much these days, it's only, ceremonially during ceremonies or what have you. Yeah.
Have you had a big Hapé experience? Because I understand it can be used kind of more chill, where it's kind of almost like, like it just gets you going. But there is another level to using Hapé that can quite literally ground you, put you on the floor, and you cannot stand up for 45 minutes or so. Has that ever happened to you?
No.
No. So I have a little story to share. It was 2 years ago. It was the first time self-administering a double blast of Hapé to myself. And it hit me so hard. I went into yoga immediately as just an automatic reaction. My hands came up above my head. I felt this energy coming through my hands, extremely strong. And I stayed here like this for 2 or 3 minutes, and I ended up kind of tipping over and then laying on the ground and having a huge purge. I was very lucky that a trash can was within arm's length. And I literally had a purge. I threw up for 5-10 minutes and I could not get up. Every time I tried to get up, it was like, nope, I'm laying back down. And then I tried to get up again a few minutes later. Nope, I'm laying back down. And I realized, wow, this is really powerful medicine. And on top of the fact that I couldn't get up and I was having this purge, I was profusely sweating. And I also was seeing kind of psychedelic textures on the ceiling. And, typically Hapé might not be thought of as a psychedelic, but I was actually seeing visions. And what it reminded me of was these interesting stories of how people used to use tobacco in a much higher quantity that would send them into a shamanic experience. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm touching on that. And in fact, there's this really controversial sculpture where it almost appears that someone is getting tobacco blown up their butt, literally from a long time ago. And, as you may have heard, things are much more potent. I've never experienced it myself, but all I can say is I felt like I was getting a glimpse of how powerful tobacco can be in the right dosage.
So have you boofed it yet?
I have not, no, but the way
well,
that
now you got me thinking. So
I have not, but I can only say that based on this experience, I had a whole new level of respect for tobacco and what it is possible with it. Because it was like, I'm laid out. It's been 45 minutes. I cannot get up. I'm seeing visions. I'm feeling energy flowing through my body in a very intense way. And it was almost like I could feel like tingling throughout all the way to my fingertips, through my whole body. And I actually got kind of scared to do Hapé again after that. But then I realized that what I'm pretty sure happened was there was some leftover remnants in the caripe, and I pretty much got a double shot. I got double what I had anticipated doing, and I did do it into both nostrils for the first time. So not only did I do it through both nostrils for the first time, but it seemed to be quite a lot. Because the first one, I was like, okay, it hit. You kind of get this wasabi effect in your brain where it's like you get this burning sensation. I find it quite pleasurable. Some people hate this feeling. Some people don't like wasabi, for example. I'm someone who puts a ton of wasabi on my sushi. So I kind of like that. It's very clearing. It definitely puts you in the now where you're like, I'm not thinking about this, that, and the other thing. I'm just here now in sensation in my body. And that can last between 20 seconds to like a minute and a half before that starts to subside. But I had not experienced like a full release in that way almost ever, I don't think. And what it did actually remind me of is combo. Have you heard or tried combo, this frog medicine?
Yes.
So it makes you throw up. It makes you purge to the deepest parts of the bowels almost, or
it comes up day-glow green with bile after a while, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So I kind of got that experience from Hapé. I don't I wouldn't say I recommend people do that, but I will say that it is an extremely powerful medicine and is capable of a lot if you don't carefully measure your dose or you're a particularly sensitive person. So that's just a wild experience I had with it.
That is, I'm envious. The wildest experience I've had with it, it was during a ceremony. It was outdoors. There was a campfire, and somebody, and they called people up for Hapé, and this guy gave me a big blast, yeah, bigger than I'd ever had, and I jumped up and absolutely could not contain myself. I had to dance around that campfire, for a little while, and just to let some things out. And but yours sounds like, a whole different level.
It was a big boy. And I also wonder too, was it the fact that maybe astrologically it was a particularly powerful day because it was on Christmas? It was on December 25th. You know what I mean? And again, I took a few weeks off of Hapé from that point, but then again, I introduced, but just with much more respect for how much. And I got into the habit of blowing the caripe to make sure there's not remnants before each use. And sometimes there is remnants, which is funny. But yeah, I'll just kind of get it in the... And then, was
this your caripe or were you using someone else's? Or
it was the one I sent you a picture of. It was that one.
Because it sounds like Yopo almost.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Tried that, but
I've not, but I've heard. Have you tried it?
Yeah.
How is Yopo?
Yopo's interesting. Yopo's beautiful. And I found that some people can connect with it that can't seem to connect with ayahuasca. And it can really help them.
Right. So for the listeners, Yopo is a lot like Hapé, except it has, I believe, NN-DMT and maybe even 5-MeO-DMT.
It's actually got trace amounts of those. It's the bufotenin. It's really high in bufotenin that does the trick.
Interesting. Do you have any idea how they create that blend or the process that goes into creating Yopo at all?
Yeah, I mean they toast the seeds and they scrape the inside of the seeds out, and then they mix it with some like burnt snail shell.
Oh wow!
And there's a little. Yeah, I mean, I've tried to make it myself. It didn't work, but I know it's one of the oldest known medicines for years, and even all over, not just in the Amazon, but all throughout the Caribbean as well. Taino and Arawak peoples would use it.
Right. That's interesting. I feel like it might be, I have not tried it yet. I would be interested in trying it, but it almost feels like it would get you there in a little bit of a less intrusive way to the body, because with ayahuasca, of course, you take the medicine and then you must wait. Maybe sometimes get a little early experience, but I think people wait, between 30 minutes and an hour for the effects to kick in. And then a lot of times your stomach doesn't like what's going on. So you'll have a purge, whether it be from the mouth or the butt, and then after the purge, typically is
the same with Yopo. Yeah, you could do that. But and what your Hapé experience as well. I'm of the opinion if you're not purging, you're not healing.
Sure.
And there's lots of different types of purge. It's not just from one's holes. Although for any psychonaut worth his salt, projectile purge from both ends simultaneously in the jungle. It should be on anyone's puke bucket list. It's the only way to go.
Right.
I had a really great cleanse purge last week. I'd had some insomnia for over a month. I mean, all night, every night. I could not sleep, and it was a weird sort of nervous thing. And that, I'd try to lay down to sleep, and all of a sudden I'd just get these little phantom tickles and itches and all over the place. It was just like, just was so frustrating. I'd finally get up, and then finally, I'd maybe get to sleep sometime in the morning and fuck off half my day. And so I went to a friend of mine. We had an ayahuasca ceremony. She's worked with Shipibos. She and her wife works with Shipibo Granderos for about 15 years now. Okay. So they do some really great ceremonies. And anyway, the next day, homegirl she starts chopping up these seeds in the abesia plant, mixed with water, and hands me a legit glass of deadly poison that would have killed me if I didn't, when I drank that, except I spent the next hour chugging gallon after gallon after gallon after gallon of water.
Oh, wow.
Then prom queening that shit back up. And just over and over and over again until the same thing. It starts changing color. It starts coming up green. And then I thought it was over, but then the hot poker in the belly, and guts burning and, squirting battery acid out of my ass for about, a few hours was
Lord,
pretty rough. Yeah. But, man, I've slept like a baby every night since.
Oh, wow. So you said she handed you poison. What do you mean?
Poison. I mean, this is poison. It's like these seeds are highly, highly toxic.
Oh, wow.
And what your body's reacting to that, wanting to get everything out of your system because this stuff is going to get you,
Sure.
And so you have to just keep drinking water and getting it up, and you see little bits of seeds, and you're like, it's like the seeds have multiplied, like all my demons have metastasized into these seed particles, because it seemed like I puked up 20 times more than I drank.
Jeez.
But then the rest, whatever you don't get, vomiting, then comes out the other end. But it's the same with the tobacco purge. In Peru, it's basically the same process. You drink a tobacco tea. It's highly toxic. It can, sometimes people have died from it, because a lot of people have a problem drinking water. You have to just chug and chug and chug and not be like, oh, I can't,
right.
Can't do it. You have to do it, and it hurts, and it's really uncomfortable.
Right.
And then it all comes up and it clears you out.
So it almost sounds like a near-death experience for the body. Of course, you are getting stuff out, lodged way down in your system that's going to come out through this purge, but also just the gratefulness for not being sick and not having to throw up and not having to be on a toilet for hours. Might make daily life and the kind of the grind that we're all in as far as a society and daily life goes more interesting, because you're like, hey, I'm alive at least, right?
Well, also much less of a desire to say engage in dietary practices or whatnot, that are not so great, because I don't want to go through that again anytime soon,
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
But and then she's saying, oh, you should come up for 10 days and do a real purge,
Oh my gosh.
Because there are plants that'll put you on your back for a couple of weeks.
Sure. It sounds I hear that about like iboga. I don't think it's weeks, but I hear that it's a few days.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to this woodworking that you do, you also seem to have a passion for curating quality wood. How did you learn about the different types of wood, and how do you find that they're sourced and these types of things? Because, for example, I just commissioned you to create a snake kuripe, and you said I just so happened to get 5,000-year-old bogwood, right?
But before I left, I met this guy. His name's Tajay Massey. He's a rapper with hieroglyphics and balls of mischief. He's also an architect, brilliant man. And he gave me a house to live in for free for years. And now that was what allowed me to, time and space to scrape up enough money to finally get to Peru. And near there, manufacturer. And I discovered they had a scrap bin full of all of these mahogany offcuts. So that's the wood that I started using. I would have ignored because, I didn't have any money. So I wouldn't have had any money for materials. And I was going through it a lot. literally tons of this wood away. This amazing, rainforest hardwood. And so it's kind of a bittersweet when they closed, boo for me, but yay for the rainforest. And since then, I've found other sources of reclaimed wood. I only use reclaimed wood.
Gotcha.
So I find, all kinds of different ones. Now there's I got a change to another studio, and right down the street there's a big slab cutting place, just reclaimed wood as well. Now in California there's a lot because of all the fires. There's a lot of downed wood.
Right.
And so I'm kind of feel like I'm using, the bones of a dying world.
Yeah. Well, one interesting thing that comes to mind is that by using this wood, almost the spirit of the tree is present in the pieces you're creating. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I was last time I was in Peru, and my curandera, Stella Pangoza, she was telling me, you can travel places, just pick where you want to go. You go deep into the sea, you can go, and I took her advice, started traveling places, and I wanted to travel into the forest. And so during ceremony, I imagine, it starts with like imagination. You imagine something, and the vision takes over. So I imagine like the previous day, following her through the forest to see this tree, and then a vision took over. I laid down on the tree and sank down into it, and it was pretty amazing. With the lights and the spirit in there.
Yep.
I'm not sure how all that works, but there's definitely something. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm channeling spirits when I work, you know what I mean? But it feels like it. That's exactly what it feels like. I just want to check out and watch my hands work, amazed at what's going on.
Right.
By the way, here's my pacho.
Oh, beautiful.
There's your tobacco.
Wow. So for people just listening, he's showing me a garden he has here, and it looks like he's growing mapacho. That's so cool.
Oh, I've got some tomatoes and some herbs, but just 2 medicinal plants. Oh, this medicinal plant, that's rose geranium.
That is cool. So in psychedelic states, I felt as if I could connect to the consciousness within a plant or a tree. I could feel it as if it was a person. It had a persona, almost like some type of, energy to it that you could identify as a being. And when I think about your work, it's almost like you're giving these trees and wood a purpose to serve, where they're able to heal people through the act of, using these plant medicines.
Yeah. Have you ever done like a dieta with a plant, for an extended period of time or anything like that?
No, not really. Not really. The most dieta I've done is, like when I know a ceremony is coming up in a week or 2 weeks, I'll start to eat really clean, and I'll start to cut meat out and ingest less alcohol and caffeine and these types of things to just respect what's coming ahead. But that's probably a much more Western version of a dieta. What would you say?
Yeah, the downloads of information you get are not from oneself. They're definitely from an outside source, and they definitely have a certain personality to them, each different one. And, the work, my brilliant business strategy, my, genius business strategy is to just make something, snap a couple quick pics with my phone and post them on Facebook and Instagram. And that's it. That's all I do. A monkey could do a better job than me. So it's like the least amount of effort I can put into it, and I'm just, in my studio working this or traveling or playing with my partner. And that's my life. But that's basically it.
Yeah.
And But what started to happen is that I'd get a message from somebody now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and saying the same thing, and it would say, you know, you don't know me, but you know, I saw your work, and I read your story, and it really inspired me to, like, you know, go ahead and pull the trigger and go down to Peru and find some healing, and then saying, you know, and my life has completely changed. You know, thank you so much.
Right.
That means so much to me, you know.
Yep.
And that's kind of like that, because that's everything, you know.
Right.
Transformation and
Yep.
self-realization, yeah.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, for, you know, for each person who did contact me, there may be more who didn't.
Right.
Who knows? Many.
No, for
And
sure.
So for some reason, as this work really resonates with people who have engaged with medicine,
Mm-hmm.
or who really want to, and or need to. And so I'm thinking more and more that I need to get it out there more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I need to connect with more people, and that gets into all these things of scale, doing bigger and more, you know,
Sure.
awesome pieces. And honestly, you know, I'm pretty lazy. I just, you know, get comfortable, but I'm only scratching the surface of what I'm capable of doing. I see amazing things, you know, great things, just these monumental pieces that I'm perfectly capable of doing. It's just a matter of having more space, you know, and the materials are down the street. A couple guys with chainsaws to, you know, rough some things out for me. That's
Right.
not a problem. The only problem is, you know, the clients to make that happen.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of, you know, getting it out there more, and dealing with people more, which I don't do that much. I'm
Right.
pretty, you know, I'm in my little cave all day, you know, covered in sawdust. You know, that's my life. I'm a little caveman. So you know, and that's kind of, you know, why, yeah, you do a podcast, you know, with
Yep.
you, because you know, I really need somebody to tell me, connect to those people who can make those things happen.
Absolutely.
I don't know, some, you know, like Burn Playa Bunny, who knows all the, you know, the tech,
Right.
big shot tech tripsters, you know,
Yeah.
or what have you. Yeah. And somebody like that, I can make someone like that rich, you know.
Yep. Yeah, it could happen, man. You know, something coming to mind is that have you done any, for example, like museum features or gallery features? No?
Well, that would mean like actually going and talking to people. I need
Well,
someone else to do that for me. Yeah.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
you know, you keep the feelers out there and someone might just fall right into your lap, and it's like,
Feelers. That's what I've been doing lately. I've been putting feelers out. Yeah.
perfect. Well, I can just see if you were to take some of, you know, your works and put them in a museum and create an event out of it and have someone help you promote it and get people through the door, that it would just, you know, be extremely powerful in getting the word out. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Exit Through the Gift Shop.
No, but I know the experience.
Yeah, it's a Banksy film. So you know
Okay.
Banksy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, amazing artist. And it's also about this guy that films Banksy. His name is like Terry, I believe. And he's able to create a gallery out of literally just like magazine clippings and recoloring things. It's a really interesting film if you haven't seen it. But really, the hype that comes with an event can be a kind of send a shockwave out into the public art sphere that might be able to bring more people your way, more clients, more commissions, more interest in your work. So just putting it out there that if there was a gallery of your woodwork, I mean, I would try to go to that for sure.
You're right. I think it might be a little chicken egg situation, because if I had, say, a client to commission a monumental work, that's going to create that kind of buzz too.
Right.
So that would then, I think, generate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know why this just came to mind, but I remember the story of Jesus being a woodworker. Have you ever thought about that much?
Jesus was a woodworker. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not sure I'm interested in the the consequences.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So, who knows? Maybe I'll start flipping over tables and whipping people with it, and I'll get some righteous Jesus anger going, and that'll get me killed. But
Oh God. Yeah, that's funny. It's just a funny thing
if you ask me, it was suicide by cop, but
Mhm. Yeah, it's just an interesting thing that it seems very much like a sacred form of art. I think that's what I'm trying to tie to it.
Well, I mean, I get booted out of like Reddit groups for being a grumpy old fucker, and people asking me, how do you do your work? And I tell them, I'm not going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very offended by that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is the way it just seems that the way I came across the knowledge, the ordeal of it, and the magic of it, and the way that knowledge has so drastically transformed my life and the lives of others. To me, it's sacred knowledge. It's just something to put out there. I teach. I drag, suitcases of power tools,
Mm-hmm.
remote villages, whatever, set up a workshop and teach kids how to do this.
Yeah. That's
but
beautiful.
Not everybody,
Right. Yeah. I like that. I've heard this explored. I think it was in the Tao Te Ching that said, let your work remain a mystery, and just show up with the final product. And I definitely can resonate with that in the sense of the music that I create and have created and been around different musicians that create beautiful work as well. As the process isn't what's important, it's the result, and to be overly concerned with how someone did it just kind of removes the magic from it. So I don't know. I think people are curious because your work is so incredible, but at the same time, they should just be amazed. They don't need to know how it's done. They just need to support you doing it,
Right. It's because it's like, I'm even kind of like so almost intolerant of the word artist and art. I mean, is that what I'm doing? Is that what I am? Because I think it gives the wrong impression. And one, it might give the impression I care at all about art. I really don't. I have other things I care. That's just what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I care about what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
Right.
But you're right. When we are able to create wonder.
Yep.
And the world is only wonderful, full of wonder when we are.
Yep.
Full of wonder, so why rob somebody of that wonder by, giving the reveal,
Right.
So I prefer, instead of artist, maybe wizard. I don't know. I think I'm going to be a wizard instead.
Wood wizard.
Yeah, the wood wizard. I like that.
I love it.
I love it too. Yeah, I think that's my new handle.
Let's go, wood wizard. I love it, man. So where can people learn more about you? Your different handles, your websites, and any types of things you've got on the horizon.
It's like what I told my wife when we first met online. Google me. That's all I said to her. That's funny. It was just an interesting interview came out with Psychedelic Times. That's a nice one.
Oh, awesome.
So if you Google Chris Isner art or ayahuasca, there's a bunch of things there. It all basically says the same thing, though. Mm-hmm. Instagram, Isner Art, ISNER ART. Mm-hmm. Same with Facebook. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I just got one more question for you while I have you, which is, do you listen to music while you create?
No, guys, there's power tools, it's so loud. I've got earmuffs, and
Gotcha.
Honestly, I don't really listen to music.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I very badly started playing it. I mean, with some, I got a drum and a flute, a maraca.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of enjoy my quiet. It's pretty quiet here.
Gotcha.
And when I do, it's usually like medicine songs now.
Totally. I love medicine music as well, and it's funny because I don't know. I can only imagine that you listening to music during your process might influence the creativity, but at the same time, I know you have your process, and I don't want to interrupt that at all. But I just wanted to put it out there that I don't know. I feel like certain music.
I don't know how to pipe music into my earmuffs.
Right.
I can figure it out. Actually, I'll probably start thinking about that.
Maybe we could invent some woodworking earmuffs with built-in speakers.
Yeah, maybe that's a question I should ask on the woodworking forums. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Groups. How do you listen to music when you're
right?
A die grinder going for hours at a time.
Right. Super cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Chris. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Actually, I'm about to go to my studio and finish your Caribe.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. I'm stoked. Wow, there it is. The bogwood, 5,000 years old.
I'm going to get some wood from New Zealand called kauri.
Okay.
50,000 years ago,
wow.
A tsunami came and knocked down this massive forest. Mm-hmm. And these logs have been in the ground for 50,000 years.
Amazing.
People only got there, about 1,500 years ago.
Wow.
So these trees were long before any human showed up.
Yep. I think that's part of the magic of what you're doing is you're creating with this freaking ancient stuff. You know what I mean?
I know. I can't wait. I'm just drilling. I mean, it's so expensive. This wood is, mm-hmm. It's like gold. But I've got to do it.
Yep. Keep doing it, brother. You're doing amazing stuff.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.